just move them straight to a contract at that moment and sort of lock them down and prepare them for the horrifying realities of, I don't know how dramatic, have you seen a dramatic shift in the behavior of foreclosures so far this year?
Well, this year, as in, well,
Now that the programs have
I
kind of
think
run
what we're
out.
going to see, I don't really know. I think that what we're going to see in this year is a continuation of last year, which is the banks are getting more aggressive. So, we're going to see the foreclosures come fast, and they're going to be a lot less liberal in terms of postponements. That's the trend that is going to continue into 2017.
I can't get over a couple of facts, and I just don't understand this, and I really want someone to desperately explain it to me, and I'm probably going to have an interview with Darren again coming up. 1 out of 10 properties is still underwater. Just under 4%, it's about 3.5%, are still in default. It's still about 400,000 plus people that are extremely delinquent. People who become an REO are sold off through auction.com or back to Wall Street through bundles, which is eliminating the inventory. I know that most agents must be feeling the pinch. So I can't, and I've been asking, I had Fred Howard on last week who has, a couple hundred agents in the, I don't understand what a common agent is doing and not even investigating working with defaulted homeowners. And I say this to all the coaching students, why aren't you aggressively doing this? I don't see a better opportunity to get a listing. Based on the math and everybody I've talked to, an expired listing within 30 days has been hit by at least 300 agents, at least, and I'm being very kind on the topic. It's probably more, and that includes phone calls and mailers and door knocking in some way, shape, or form. From your perspective, you're going to your weekly meetings and you're looking at, and you meet with other, quote unquote, regular agents. What are agents doing without inventory? I mean, how are they mentally processing this year?
Are you talking to me now?
Yes, I am.
Well, they're excited. I mean, in our office in particular, and we have a small office. We have 2 listing agents and 4 buyers agents, and then I have my admin team. I have a marketing guy, an inside salesperson, an admin person, and a office manager, transaction coordinator. So I guess that's 10 or 11. I don't, that's just on the real estate retail side. But we're ready for 2017 to get started. We're seeing a lot of new activity. We know that the banks are just starting to gear up right now. I can tell you on the home loan advocate side, we've this week alone we've gotten like 4 new short sales coming in. So we know that there's a little more we're seeing, which is a sign of the market that there's more activity on the short sale side. So I think it's really too early to say, but there's I don't get misled by the lull in activity we had in December when the banks take a hiatus. They don't they automatically postpone all the foreclosures, and then they come out with with vigor in January. So we're starting. So what we see is the banks do the foreclosures, the announcements first, and then all of a sudden, then we get the emotion in the market from the sellers that leads to the new listings, and so here we go. So it's just now beginning right now is what we're saying.
I'm wondering at one point, and I use the word equilibrium, but at some point, agents are going to struggle because of the lack of inventory. And I would assume, based on their behaviors, that they will start to turn over every rock looking for a listing. And I'm going to keep saying it. I've done this since 1988. And I guess it's the thing that my father ingrained in me, which is as long as people are making payments on a house, somebody's not making a payment on a house somewhere. And it's just a good, solid niche to work.
Listen, I keep saying this, and the reason, people are still surprised that, that we have so many short sales and negotiations and that kind of thing. But go back to before 2007, 2006. I mean, there was still 3 or 4% of the market that was delinquent on their mortgages. That's not going to change when you're talking about especially in California. You're talking. These are huge numbers. When you apply 3% to 50 million mortgages, 4% to 50 million mortgages nationwide. I mean, what's the number of mortgages, houses with mortgages in your market, and apply the number 3 or 4%. That's how many are in foreclosure at any given time. And the market, listen, every market is different. And so in my market, I just did this research yesterday because I was frustrated that I only have 3 listings so far this year. Okay, and so I did the math in my target market where I'm focusing my advertising and my marketing efforts. There were only 100. It happened to be exactly 100 listings year to date. I had 3 of them or 3% of them, and I relaxed. I said, okay, well, if I maintain 3% of all the listings that are going to take place in my market all year long, I'm going to have another banner year. And the market, it seems to be a little slower, and I think some of that has to do with what's Trump going to do. So there's a lot of people that are kind of sitting on the fence, and I'm hoping once we get past inauguration and we get past some, and we start seeing what the tone of the new president is going to be, that people are going to relax. But one of the things, those are non-distressed people. But distressed people, and this is every time I speak about distressed properties, I say the same thing. That one of the reasons that I like distressed property, maybe, just one of the reasons I like distressed property is that there is no economic incentive. There is no, it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. It doesn't matter who the president is. It doesn't matter whether or not it's the right season to sell or not to sell. You get a foreclosure notice, you gotta take some action. And so the reason I love them is that there's a high probability that they're going to do something sooner rather than later. And the only question that remains for me, are they going to do it with me or are they going to do it with somebody else? And I'm determined that it be me. And I use these tools that we talk about on these calls and in the seminars and the things that we do throughout the year. Those are the things that I'm talking to you about that I do in order to make me be the listing agent of choice when it comes time to do something.
Yeah, so it's funny because I've been spending a lot of time lately watching stuff and for my own personal speaking and so forth. And one of the things, and this is a key, this is like a Joel Bauerism, this is, you need to be the only logical choice to that homeowner. And that's, I guess that's the most important key and the most important takeaway. If you're inserting yourself into their life via the monster, right, before they're, in their minds, I guess I could talk in generalities. Marianne's case, your case, my case, Kevin's case, everybody's case. They're, in their minds, they don't have any problems when they have a notice of sale. There isn't a bad situation yet. And you're introducing yourself before the bank says, no, here are what your payments are, here's how long those payments are going to, whatever it is that causes them to say no. Like the numbers haven't changed. Those, and I've got it on the screen. There's 414,000 people that are greater than 90 days delinquent in the United States. That's a big number, okay? And that's only tracked by Realty Track in whatever states they cover. But 500,000 people is still a really big number. I can still do my city and find 40 people who have sale dates and another 40 who have notice of defaults. That's enough for me to go find a listing in that pile. But I have to get face-to-face with them, and I have to be the rational conclusion for them. And now, as you were saying earlier, David, and for everybody listening, right, the minute they say, yeah, I want to sell in March, great, let's fill out that paperwork, right? That's all there is to it. Because if you get and this happened in our own camp, right, on 4 separate deals. Okay, yeah, come back here right after the holidays and we'll take care of it. They're gone. These people were red hot, did all the talk, did all the walk, They're gone. So it's definitely something that everybody has to keep in mind. I don't think this is going away. Here's the next question. These interest rate hikes are already causing prices to flatten out a little bit, which is good for the market. I mean, we just simply don't have the inventory. And I keep worrying about, it's not that I worry about agents not having listings. It's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern are agents not having listings and getting involved in defaulted properties again. I don't want them here. I want those that kind of get it to be here. I don't want what we had, the problem, in my opinion, the problem we had with short sales when I was first teaching it and in general, people were involved in short sales who had no business being involved in short sales to begin with. Does that sound like a fair statement, David?
I think that's true. I mean, those are the people who make it harder for us today. Who put, the people whose only focus is the only way to save your house is to sell your house, are doing a huge misservice to the community, and they're blackening the eye of every realtor who is sincere about doing the right thing for the community and the homeowner in particular.
I'm still shocked to this day. I just had somebody that I was working with in New Jersey who still said that he couldn't see the point in doing a short sale. Oh, they're going to wind up with the debt. Oh, the tax. Like all the stuff from 2007, you talk to people, you still talk to realtors on a day-to-day basis. Are you surprised that it's still...
I have no idea.
That have no idea.
It blows my mind after the years.
10 years.
I mean, it's not like this is new. I mean, short sales have been in vogue since 2007 or 8.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't even start doing them until 2010. Okay, and there's been a lot of information. So if anybody doesn't know about this stuff, they just haven't really taken the time to care enough about it. And they're not really, again, they're just taxi drivers. They're meter hitters. They just want to do the transaction, get on to the next one, and they don't care what what happens to the homeowner. We care about what happens to the homeowner. Our job is to both educate the homeowner of their options and then help them execute the option that is going to be in their best interest. Sometimes that means trying and failing of what the seller's preference is before doing the plan that is really necessary in order to help them transition through this foreclosure issue.
Wade asked a question. It's a good question. Both you and David. In the past, advocate going first after the notice of trustee sale. Yeah, California speaking. For those of you on the East Coast, that's the same as an auction date. And if they are not enough in your area, you go to NOD. That is correct as well. But I'm finding by the time I get to the final stage of foreclosure, notice of trustee sale, the owners have already made plans with someone else, whatever that may be. Or I've gotten a ton of tags from various monster agents. And that's why I'm asking you, Wade, where specifically. Not really true with you. Wade, I'm in a hotbed. I'm literally, for Diana and Kevin, I'm telling you, Covina is in the corridor of a lot of agents. In fact, while Kevin was out tagging the other day, most of you don't know this. I don't even know if I have a picture of it because I had to look it up. I found a Monster version 2 that was still being used. For those of you who don't know, Monster version 2 was sort of the Avery, it was an Avery label printed out on a Word doc that looked kind of like a UPS tag, and it's nothing fantastic. I don't know if I'd be able to find it, but found it on the property and brought it back, and he goes, have you ever seen something like this? And I said, yeah, I have. I sure as heck have. Let me see if I actually have this so you guys can see what a Monster version. It's in my, it literally is that old. But I don't really believe, here's the thing I don't believe, Wade. I still get calls. I've had clients tell me point blank they don't get responses in their area. I've also been told, hey, there's a lot of people in this area. I'm not getting any responses. And then for whatever magical reason, I'm not saying it, but I'm trying to be a little cynical when I say that, I go and tag that same area, I get calls. Now, I'm not saying my tags are special or the way that I tag is any more special than anybody else. But I that's why I'm asking